For the first time in decades, Iran, the United States, and Israel are locked in an all-out aerial conflict, and drones, missiles, and stealth bombers are rewriting the rules of war. Imagine an ongoing war where thousands of one-way attack drones swarm the skies, and B-2 stealth bombers drop massive bombs on hardened missile sites deep inside Iran. But here's the part most people aren't ready for. The weapons being used, the scale of the barrages, and the strategic stakes are not small skirmishes. They're the makings of the most intense conflict of the 21st century. Why are Iran's cheap drone swarms overwhelming defenses? What role do America's most advanced fighters and B-2 bombers play? And how close are we to a full regional or global catastrophe? Stick with me, because we're about to break down every explosive detail, cut to animated strike zone map, clips of drones, and B-2 overflights. The war didn't start overnight. It escalated step by step. Day 0, a coordinated U.S.-Israel strike dubbed Operation Epic Fury hit Iranian missile infrastructure and strategic targets using missiles, F-35 fighters, and B-2 stealth bombers. Hours later, Iran vowed retaliation with no leniency and launched its own offensive using ballistic missiles and drone swarms against both U.S. and Israeli positions. Within days, Iranian strikes reached Gulf states including the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Iraq, pushing these countries into the conflict and causing civilian casualties. Meanwhile, intercepted projectiles, falling debris, and expanding air defense engagements spread the war footprint across more borders and skies. Each escalation loop shows a chilling reality. Modern wars are fought not just with soldiers on the ground, but machines in the air, cheap drones flooding defenses, and expensive interceptors struggling to keep up. Visuals, timeline graphic, drone swarm footage, missile intercept animations. Now, let's put some numbers to the chaos. This is where the scope becomes undeniable. Iranian strikes since February 28th are currently 1,480 drones launched, 480 missiles fired, multiple Gulf bases targeted, civilian deaths and injuries reported, Gulf defense stats from recent data. UAE dealt with 112 drones, 186 ballistic missiles. Qatar intercepted 101 missiles and 39 drones. Kuwait tracked and neutralized 178 missiles, 384 drones across its airspace. U.S.-Israel offensive. Initial strikes hit nearly 2,000 Iranian targets in the first 100 hours. Advanced weapons used include Tomahawk missiles, F-35 and F-A-18 jets, and B-2 bombers dropping massive ordnance. These aren't isolated skirmishes. They're industrial-scale aerial campaigns involving thousands of engagements every day. Visuals, animated bar graphs, intercepted versus launched missiles, drones. To understand why this fight matters, we must break down the strategic tech at play. Cheap versus expensive war logic. Iran's strategy is industrial swarm warfare. Thousands of low-cost attack drones overwhelm defenses. Each drone costs a fraction of what intercepting it demands. Estimates suggest 20 Ki per drone versus millions for interceptors. Missiles and hypersonics. Iran has deployed advanced missiles like the Fatah-2 hypersonic glide vehicle system, designed to evade interceptors with high speed and maneuverability. Western air power. The U.S. and Israel are exploiting high-end assets. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers penetrating deep to strike hardened targets. F-35 and F-18 jets providing precision strikes and air superiority. Layered defense networks. Arrow, Patriot, THAAD, working nonstop to intercept Iran's barrages. This is a war of attrition and technology, where Iran uses quantity and unpredictable swarm tactics. U.S.-Israel uses precision, stealth, and layered defenses. Visuals, weapon tech diagrams, range maps of missiles and drone grids. This conflict isn't just regional, it's reshaping the world. Energy markets, oil routes through the Strait of Hormuz, face disruption from drone and missile activity, driving prices higher and unsettling global markets. Allied discontent. Gulf states accuse Washington of prioritizing Israel's defense over their own security, stirring long-term political fractures. International response. NATO boosts missile defenses. Countries like Canada and Australia reinforce support roles, while humanitarian crises grow. Authority insight. Defense analysts warn this may be no ordinary conflict. Swarm drone tactics are a paradigm shift in aerial warfare. Layered defense depletion could reshape future combat doctrine. Emerging networks and responses will influence global military strategy for decades. Quotes from strategic institutions emphasize that the era of low-cost autonomous strikes versus high-end interceptors marks a profound shift in conflict economics. Paraphrased from defense studies and open-source analysis, visuals, market charts reacting, analyst briefings, geopolitical maps. What happens if this conflict intensifies? Entire air defense systems could be overwhelmed. Even the most advanced interceptors can be depleted. Cheap drones and missiles could force countries into constant alert. Civilian infrastructure becomes collateral, as seen with debris and damage across Gulf cities. Time pressure. Diplomatic talks are happening, but the clock is ticking. Each new barrage, each new strike, pushes the region closer to a wider conflagration. Within the next weeks, not months, decisions made in governments and battle rooms could decide whether this war stays limited, escalates into a broader Middle Eastern war, or even pushes global powers into deeper confrontation. High-impact CTA ending. If you think this conflict will expand or be contained, comment your prediction below. Do you think the world is heading into a new era of aerial warfare, or can diplomacy still pull the world back from the brink? Comment why you think one side will prevail, or why this might reshape global military strategy forever. Subscribe for daily strategic analysis on evolving conflicts, with deep data, expert breakdowns, and real impact for the global viewer. Fade out on world map with conflict zones pulsing red.